So let's talk about the foundations for building your online business. You can watch all the YouTube videos, find all the strategies and tactics and tips, and all that stuff is really good. But if you don't have your personal foundations in place, whatever type of business you build, it's going to eventually crumble. If you don't have secure, strong pillars and foundations in your personal life, whatever you build in your business, it won't last. So I'm going to dive into my top 3 personal habits, foundations that have helped me on my entrepreneurial journey. So let's dive in. I want to talk about this because it's important to focus on the activities that are really going to bring the most benefit and change to your life and to your business. On YouTube, it's easy to find all the latest strategies and get distracted with all the shiny objects and should I be doing SaaS, SWAS, SMMA, what's the best business model? And you keep jumping from YouTube video to YouTube video and stuff. In business and life, momentum's everything, right? So these are the 3 personal habits that have been able to give me momentum, clarity, energy, and it's nothing new, right? It's nothing new. You've heard them all before, but we often need to be reminded more than we're taught. This is really an encouragement to adopt these habits, to focus on these habits because they're really going to be foundational to your success. So the first thing I realized that wasn't really serving me and helping me anymore was just setting huge outcome goals. Like, I'm going to make 100K a month. And that in and of itself is fine to maybe focus like 1% of your energy just to kind of set the direction you're going. But at the end of the day, like that's not what's going to move the needle forward because you can't really control outcomes. And that's often what we most often focus on, right? I'm going to build a 6 or 7 figure agency. I'm going to close 10 new clients this month. And I get it. You're setting your intention and you're putting it out there. That's all fine. But the majority of your energy should be on what am I doing daily, right? What are the daily activities that I'm focusing on that are going to move the needle forward? Like getting clarity on the granular activities and reverse engineering those goals is really what makes the difference. Because at the end of the day as well, like that's what you can control, right? You can control your habits. And if you want an amazing book that will 10 times better explain and encourage you to adopt habits, definitely check out this book, Atomic Habits by James Clear. It's one of my favorite ones that I'm probably going to reread. I probably read it like a year ago or 2 years ago, but it's huge. And one of my favorite quotes from that is habits are the compound interest of self-improvement. These little habits, if you focus on them every day, you make these little 1% gains, like that's going to make a huge difference over the year. And you can control them, meaning you can measure it, how successful you are or not. And that's where we should derive our feelings of success is if I did the activities that day. Right? Because you can 100% feel successful about that. And you can control that compared to, did I close a deal today? Like you can't really control whether someone signs up with you, but you can control the activities that lead to those outcomes, right? So another quote from Proverbs 16:32 is better a patient person than a warrior, one with self-control than the one who takes a city. Often I equate, one who takes a city is the loud person always talking about what they're going to do. Oh, I'm going to crush it. I'm going to build this 7-figure agency, but they lack self-control, right? So Proverbs are amazing. This is the book of wisdom. Better someone with self-control. And to me, self-control is the underlooked and undervalued value, right? It's the little things like habits, the ability to control yourself every single day and do the things you don't want to do when you don't feel like it. Like that's more important than talking about what you're going to do, talking about these big outrageous outcome goals. It's better to focus on self-control. It's better to focus on the little things like what you do every single day, aka your habits. One of my favorite things about habits is that it's a force multiplier. It's something that makes everything around it better, right? A force multiplier makes everything around it better. It's a process, a tool, or a system that increases effectiveness. For me, in my life, I'm always trying to find leverage. I'm always trying to find shortcuts. What's the minimum input that I can put in to get the most maximum gain, right? And habits are the ultimate form of leverage because if you focus on one thing every single day, those 1% increases, it's going to compound over time in a year. I think the math is 37 times better if you get 1% better every day. I believe that's the stats, but don't quote me on it. So the first force multiplier habit is pretty straightforward, right? Daily workouts. This image is funny. I like to use OpenAI to find out different types of images, right? I just typed in online entrepreneur, online fit entrepreneur, and this is what it came up with, right? And what number one really is just you're more respected, right? If you need some reasons to help you work out daily, here are a couple that make a big difference in business. Respect it's kind of important, right? If you're doing a Zoom call with someone that is super overweight, or you can tell they don't take care of themselves, like subconsciously, you're not going to respect them as much. And those are all the little things that are kind of important when you're considering doing business with someone, right? If you're doing a Zoom call, you're trying to close a deal on signing up a new dentist and, for your marketing services. If they see someone, if you just had to compare apples to apples, right? Someone super overweight, someone that is fit, subconsciously you look at the fit person, and it's not about vanity, but it's about self-respect. Like, this person takes care of himself. This person has discipline. They take care of what needs to get done. And therefore that equals they're probably a better leader. They're probably going to take care of my business like they take care of their body, right? So respect, that's number one. Number two is you just feel way better about yourself, right? You feel way better about yourself. And yeah, emotions, they shouldn't run your life. But like my man, good old Deion Sanders says, you look good, you feel good, and you play good. I, for one, love to feel better about myself. I like to have more confidence. And yeah, I can do things even though I don't feel like it, like working out, because I know at the end, the reward is I'm going to feel way better about myself. And that's huge in business, right? You start your day and you get a workout in, your endorphins are higher, your dopamine's higher, you feel more confident. That gives you some momentum to go into your workday with you already have a win. All right, I got one win under my belt. Let's carry that momentum into my other daily activities I got to get done today. I got to create some content. You're going to have more confidence to get that done, right? So that's my third point, is momentum. If you accomplish a big goal in the morning, then that will trickle into everything else you do in the rest of your day. Compared to like you want to work out and you don't do it, you start your day off, you're lethargic, and you just feel disappointed because you missed your workout, and then you carry that disappointment into your other activities, and then you just end up doing nothing, right? So ask me how I know, because I've spent many of my days doing that. Number four is it just makes you more creative at solving problems, right? Business and entrepreneurship is really all about solving problems, and working out is very simple. It just makes you smarter. It creates better cognitive function, makes your brain work a little better. So it just makes sense, right? That you would invest your time, invest your focus into making this a part of your daily habit, because it just makes you smarter. I find myself, when I do my workouts, I find myself in a way better state of mind. I'm in a state of, I can do this, I can accomplish this, because I just embraced that identity in the gym where I'm pushing against heavy weight, doing something I don't want to do. It just breeds that problem solving mentality, and that carries over into the team meeting I'm going to do that day, carries over into the sales call I'm going to do that day, carries into the content I'm going to create that day. And like I said, like, we all know this, right? We all know we should do this, but how is it actually getting implemented? Like, how are you actually strategizing and systemizing this daily workout routine into your life? So for me, I started taking my son to school every morning, and that was actually a great habit stacking activity that I adopted because my wife was doing it, but she just had our newest baby, which is 4 weeks old. I took over those duties, and I love it because it enables me to go straight to the gym right after. And that is a system that enabled me to actually do this consistently. Because for me, fitness has always been a part of my life, but there was a time where it just didn't get on the schedule. And like, I'll tell myself I'll go later that day. And we all know that never happens. So how are you going to systematize this? How are you actually going to implement this? Put it on the calendar and actually figure out a plan to make sure this happens, right? And it doesn't have to be some crazy workout regimen. Like, your goals just get to the gym or get outside, go for a run. Doesn't have to be complex. Lie to yourself. Tell yourself all you got to do is 10 minutes. I do this consistently, right? Like, even if I just get there for 10 minutes, it's going to be worth it. So the next one for me is journaling, right? And unless you're Alex Hormozy, who's like, I've made it to 100 million without ever journaling or meditating or anything. I'm like, he's a freak of nature, and you're probably not Alex Hormozy. So you should probably do the things in life that are just going to give you a leg up. All right. And journaling, for me at least, has been huge. It just helps you have more clarity, helps you have more vision, and it helps you stay on track for what you actually need to get done every single day. One of the journaling habits, and there's different ways to journal, right? And one of the ones I do daily now is just writing down what I want. Just writing down what I want, because I read this book recently called 10x is easier than 2x. And he talks about how becoming a wanter instead of a needer and staying in this place of desire instead of that scarcity minded, need-based place of just thinking about what I need. So instead of having the majority of my thoughts thinking about need, which just breeds more scarcity and lower energy, I just focus on what I want. Focus on what I want every single day and just writing it down. And that can be in the form of however you want to do it. But for me, I find it very powerful, very motivating, and very inspiring. Like I begin to think about, the vacation I want to take my family on to Hawaii, right? I want to go for a month, or I think about the awesome car, my dream car that I want to get, which is a Shelby GT350. By the way, I'm not usually a big car guy, but I've always loved Cobras. So one day you'll see me reveling in the GT350. All right. So I think about that, and those little things get me excited. I think about how I want to help so many people start a business, escape the rat race, create financial freedom in their life. And that brings me inspiration and motivation. Or I think about, how I want to make $100K a month in profit and what I can do in terms of generosity, what I can have, and being able to give away cars, which we've done in the past, and just continually grow and expand like that. You can't tell me that ain't powerful. All right. So journaling is huge. And the first part is really what do you want? And getting clear on what you want is huge. Number 2 is crucial. Writing down 3 little wins I've had for the day. For me, this is important because I can easily get into a mindset of constantly feeling disappointed, right? Constantly feeling like I'm behind, constantly feeling like I'm losing, even though I'm making progress. And I just realized dude, life is too short to just always be disappointed and constantly seeing where I'm not compared to where I've been, right? So instead of thinking that way, I shifted my thinking to what are the wins? What did I do well today? Cool. I got this piece right now. I'm getting this video done. It's not like I'm super feeling inspired to create content, but I committed on Mondays, I'm going to create content, and I'm doing this video now. So this is going to be a huge win that I'm going to write down later today, right? In terms of prospecting, did you hit your goal? Did you reach out to 50 people? That is a win. Did you get your workout done? That's a win. And once again, referencing this book, 10x is easier than 2x. One of the things that really stuck out to me was he calls you're either in the gap or in the gain. When you're in the gap, you're in that place of that I just described. You're feeling disappointed. You're seeing where you're not instead of how far you've come. And the big crucial shift of actually enjoying your life and deriving some pleasure out of life, which life is too short to just feel like crap all the time, right? You got to look back. You got to look to your past and see and acknowledge how far you've come, and the little wins that you've accomplished is a great way to really cultivate that. And then lastly, cultivating the journaling habit of just writing down the top 2-3 things max that need to get done the next day. And I'm talking about important activities, not urgent activities, right? So this gives you clarity and focus on what are the 3 major things I need to get done before I even get into the urgent tasks. Because as you know, if you're in business, there's always these little urgent tasks that are vying for your attention, but they're not going to move the needle forward. They may make you feel like you've accomplished something. They may make you feel like this false sense of gratification, but they're menial tasks that should be done by someone else, and they're not moving your business forward. So it's important. Write it down. What are the top 2 things that you need? Top 2 to 3 things max that are going to move your business forward. Usually that revolves around marketing and sales. If you're a marketing agency, what's that one email I need to write? What's that one piece of video content? What are the new hooks in the ads I need to create? Right? Those are some examples that are really important tasks that are going to move your business forward. Like, what's the ultimate strategy we're going for in this next 90-day sprint? Strategizing. Those are all activities that you should get clear on and just write it down. Simple, the night before. That way you go into the next day with a game plan. So this last one here, historically, I've not always been good at. All right. My mind is always thinking about work and how to, think of creative solutions and whatnot. It's just my default, right? But as a believer, I think this one is really important, of taking a Sabbath day every week. For me, that's now Saturdays. And that just means it's time to rest. It's time to recover. It's time that I give myself permission to not have to think about doing any work whatsoever. And as a dad, that's huge. To have that day every single week where I just play with the kids, take the kids to soccer, and just mentally unplug and focus on being present, having fun, focus on play, focus on recreation, because those are the activities that are actually going to refuel you for your work week. And this is an essential rhythm that I've found that just brings life into my business, that prevents burnout. Okay. I'm sure you don't want to be burnt out. And if you're just constantly focusing on working, that's exactly what's going to happen. No matter how much you love your work as well, right? No matter how much you love your work, it's just like exercise. If you're just constantly pounding and you don't take any rest days, your body's not going to recover in a way that it could. Okay. So a Sabbath day, from a religious point of view, was commanded, right? But from a psychological point of view, and from just looking at the benefits, Jesus said the Sabbath is for you. It's for your own benefit. It's not some legalistic thing that you have to do to please God. And for me, I'm always trying to raise my standards in ways that are going to improve my life. And this is one that I took a hard line on recently. And it's a standard I'm unwilling to negotiate on. Like this is life is not about just the hustle and grind. It's about play and rest as well. And it looks like I already hit my point of play and recreation is essential to recovery. I already talked about that, but this is a unique way of looking at it. Once again, from the book, 10x is easier than 2x, but being 100% off allows you to be 100% on. For whatever reason, that just hit me different. And it's like you can hear the same principle, but when you hear it in a different way, it really speaks to you. And this spoke to me. If I want to be my best, if I want to be at my prime, and as an athlete myself, playing football my whole life, it just makes sense. Like you got to take those rest days. You got to recover. If you want to be the top of your game, this should be a standard in your life. And ultimately for me as a believer, this is a declaration that, God is provider, providing in life and making sure my needs are met. It's not all up to me hustling and grinding. Like I can actually trust God that he says he will provide for all of my needs according to his glorious riches in Christ Jesus. And taking a Sabbath day to fight against the urge and just that ingrained urge to continually work and that fear, there's no better way than to take a full day off and be like, no, I'm not going to work today. I'm going to trust that God is provider and he's going to provide more than enough. So the last force multiplier for me is connecting with God. And that looks different for every single individual. But for me, this scripture really sticks out, right? In all your ways, acknowledge him and he shall direct your paths. And this isn't just a tip of the hat, acknowledge. That word acknowledge is actually like to be intimate with him, to take that time, whether it's 5 minutes, 10 minutes, the time doesn't really matter, but to just sit and acknowledge and be like, God, I just thank you that you are the source of life, that I'm just a branch and you are the vine, that all good things come from you. Like that just fills my soul with energy, that fills my soul with grace. And when you acknowledge him, it puts things into perspective, right? It's that whole mindset shift of telling your problems how big your God is, right? And whenever your problems become so much bigger than who God is in your life, that's when you've got an issue and you got to get back to the foundations of connecting with your creator. Because when you connect in that place of worship and you're just lost in who he is, maybe that's in nature or you're in worship or, whatever that is, like it just puts things in its proper perspective. Like everything's going to work out. God is good. And for me, that's just a solid foundation to approach life from. And from a super practical point, like when we acknowledge him as the owner, right? I am a co-creator with God, right? And that's the mindset shift that I have as a believer that is very radically different than the world as like, I own everything. It's all mine. It's all up to me. Yeah, but for me, I don't see life that way. I mean, I see life as, God's the owner. I'm a steward. I'm a manager. I'm a co-creator. And that really gives me peace. It gives me peace knowing that success in life is not all up to me and that God is orchestrating my path. If I acknowledge him, I could choose not to acknowledge him. I could choose to just focus on and just to ignore him completely. And you can get by in life, you can succeed in life, but that could end up in a place where you can gain the whole world and lose your soul. So for me, I know that this is just a very small part of life. Like eternal life is a lot longer than the wisp this short life will be. So I want to make sure I live life without regrets. And I know if I acknowledge him, he's going to give me peace and he'll give me a plan. Like it says, he shall direct your path, right? And if you think about your path, like those are all the decisions you have to make in your business. Should I hire this person, right? Is this the right person to marry? Should I buy this car on debt? Is it the right time? to take this vacation. Like every little decision you have to make, when we acknowledge him, he makes it clear. He makes it clear. And at least for me, that's how it's always been whenever I'm making any type of decision. Come back to that place of gratitude, acknowledging him, thanking him for guiding me. And eventually he'll make it clear. And obviously we got to do our part and just make the decision. It's not like we always have like this 100% certainty that this is going to work out. I don't believe that's what it means, but making that decision in faith is huge. So just to recap real quick, focus on the habits, focus on the small daily things that are going to be force multipliers in your life and business, right? And you will yield exponential results. Instead of focusing on the huge outcomes, focus on the small daily habits, focus on cultivating those habits, and ultimately, eventually, you will yield the greatest outcomes ever, right? And then lastly, like start small, right? Habits, you should start small. Instead of being like, I'm going to work out for 2 hours a day, just be like 10 minutes. Let's start with 10 minutes. Instead of saying I'm going to create 2 long form YouTube videos every day, how about we start with 1, right? Instead of being like, I'm going to reach out to 200 people every single day in the DMs, as far as prospecting, right? Start with 20. Okay. Instead, if you're writing a book, you can apply this to anything, right? I'm just going to write 1 page in the book today. And then sure enough, you're going to build some momentum and you're going to want to keep going. And if you don't, hey, at least you're cultivating the habit. And that's what matters, because if you set the goal too big and you miss the mark and you're an all or nothing type thinker, you're just going to give up and nothing's ever going to change. All right. So hopefully this has helped you. I'll do another video soon here on the top 3 business habits you need to build a 6-figure agency, right? So the top 3 things, the top 3 activities you need to focus on. So be on the lookout for that one. Till then, see you soon.